Thanks for staying with us. The residents of Desalu Street, Odo-Ona in Ibadan were thrown into confusion last week as a sick woman identified as Blessing Ayeni was dropped at the frontage of her husband's shop by officials of an undisclosed hospital. According to the report, the officials of the hospital claimed that Blessing had been abandoned at the hospital since last year. And the hospital was left with no other option than to bring her to the known address of her husband, whose shop was found where he sells alcoholic drinks. Now, many have commented on social media concerning this act. Others have criticized the hospital, others have criticized the husband and family. But this is a situation where we see a lot in Nigeria, where children are abandoned. Either you have a child with some kind of disability from birth, they are abandoned at the hospital, and the hospitals have no choice but to continue to care for these children. Families and loved ones who are unable to care for their family members dump the loved ones in the hospital, hoping that some kind of magic would happen. Well, you can join the conversation because we need to discuss this from all the available angles. You can call us on 081 0764 1679, 09024163440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Entertainment _. Please hashtag Your View TVC so we can read your tweets. You can also follow us on the Ladies of Your View. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, this is an interesting conversation. I know that even I have shared my own story where I had picked up a young girl, a 14-year-old, who was pregnant on the roadside many years ago. I took her to the hospital. The hospital said, oh, we know her. She's been here before. We can't deal with this. Please don't bring her into the hospital. And I had no choice because then I didn't want the girl to die in my car. So I had to return her back to exactly where I found her from because, listen, I didn't want to take responsibility. This was many years ago. What are your thoughts? As I said, this thing happens quite a bit. Who would you blame? What's your issue? What's your take on this story?
Who do we blame? In this case, unfortunately, government, we have to call you out on this because there's just a gap. The hospitals do their best, especially in this case where we have someone who's been in hospital for a year. You know, this hospital has played its part even much more than they should have or were paid for or, could have afforded. And we now have someone who stayed in hospital for a year. Now, we have to have a system where people who are unable to pay their bills, who, for any financial reason or the other, they even say that maybe she lost her whole family and maybe there was an accident, there was no one else, and she was left in hospital. Government has to be able to step in that case. So that is where I see the gap. And, the hospitals, they do their best. We have called them out many times on some of these things, but the truth is, when we call them out, what are the alternatives that we have given hospitals to pursue? And have they done that? There are no alternatives for them. A person who is unable to pay their bills should be able to go to an institution and ask for help. A government should be able to step in. The hospital, too, can go to the government and say, we've had this person on ground for so long, nobody has come to their aid. What can government do? For me, it's just as simple as that.
I sort of have a slightly different perspective when I read this story, because for me, it's the emotional burden of taking care of a sick person is huge. It's not easy to take care of a sick family member. It's not. And we pray that we are surrounded by people who have compassion and are selfless in our times of need. But even those who have compassion and are selfless, many people taking care of someone with chronic sickness tend to have depression. They tend to fall ill themselves. They are stressed. Then there's the financial burden. When you see the image of this woman who has been in the hospital for 1 year, she doesn't look like she's getting any better. So it must be like a chronic sickness that has no cure. Now imagine having to, you cannot even imagine. I can't imagine having to take care of someone through that. The level of emotional well-being I must have to be able to offer help to someone in that state is a whole lot. And we're not preparing people for that. When we get married, we say for better, for worse. But really, we are just hoping that everything is for better, for better. We're hoping we are never confronted with worse. People abandon their children. You say like your own child. I took my son, who was about 7 then, to General Hospital in Lasut. And there were like 3 patients that everybody was contributing things for, because those people have been there. The children have, two of them have sickle cell anemia, and their parents abandoned them in the hospital, ran away, and left them there. So the hospital now uses everything they can get from everybody to take care of those two children. It is a lot of emotional burden, and we don't take care of those taking care of people. Yeah. I think that's a perspective we need to have. How do we provide emotional support for those who are the last resort for people that are going through health challenges? There must be something to be done for them as well.
What are your thoughts on this?
I must take this story from the place of marriage and support. I think the husband has no business abandoning her. It's a different thing when you can afford to pay. It's another thing to show up every day showing her that she's loved in that state, you know. So they had not seen him for a year. Family members who were even visiting after a while stopped coming. The hospital had an address. They could have done this first month. They didn't have to wait for a year. And she didn't look like she was getting better. At the time I read this story over the weekend, Tribune Online had gone to the place where she was dumped. She was still in the sun, lying there in front of her husband's shop. And all passersby were just looking. Okay, so she was in the hospital, you abandoned her for care. When she was now brought home, you abandoned her outside as well. You know? She was just left there, helpless. Nobody showed up. No neighbors, no family, nobody helped her.
No, to confirm, they said the husband's shop hadn't been occupied for a while. So
in the story?
Yes, so they dumped her there. The man hasn't even been at the shop for a long time.
They said the Tribune Online said they couldn't get his account. I didn't read that the shop was abandoned. I read that they couldn't get him for his account. So he probably saw the situation and bailed out.
Let me go to the papers. Let me go to just a few minutes ago. Major headline in the paper that this is the worst time to fall ill because the cost of medical care is ridiculous. So I have so many people that if you get sick in Nigeria, you become a beggar. If you get sick in Nigeria, you mustn't get sick in Nigeria.
That takes me to the part of the health insurance, which we've been clamoring for years and decades. I know in Lagos, for example, there is a health insurance for Lagosian citizens, but many have not subscribed. Residents. For whatever reason, people haven't taken that initiative to go and register. Even I have tried to fill it for whatever reason, bring this card here. I have not been able to do it for my team. We are all just waiting, God forbid, for something to happen. Now, this is happening in Ibadan. I don't know what the insurance scheme is like in Ibadan, but the truth is that the reason why we have insurance is for things like this when you cannot afford healthcare.
So this is also why we have the humanitarian ministry.
In these kind of situations.
So, but this is why we have the Ministry for Women Affairs and the Humanitarian Ministry. Until this morning, I haven't heard from both ministries over this news.
Good. So also concerning insurance, let's be upfront about it. A lot of people will tell you it can only take you so far. Many of them, especially from the vulnerable, really, the insurance does not cover so much. You know, it can get you into the hospital. Maybe you see a doctor. Maybe you get, regular prescriptions. But beyond that, you have to put in your money. We need institutions. The hospital should not be put in a position where it had to go and dump a person in a place where there was nobody. A family that is unable to take care of their relative financially should not be allowed, should not be put in a position that they only feel that the only way they can survive this is to run away. There has to be some institution that steps in. As you said, humanitarian institutions, really, this should be their story. We should be hearing how they had rescued her from that place. And we should have more and more of these institutions around everywhere. This is what we need government to do. When we say government should provide enabling environment, this is what it is, so that whether we like it or not, many people will not be able to afford healthcare or education or things like that. Government can give us places where you can put people who, don't have the financial means, don't even have families. There has to be some decent place that gives them dignity. And even if it means terminal disease where they have to live the rest of their lives, so they go in a decent place. That's all we're saying.
In the real world, in the perfect world, that's great. It's great on paper.
No, in real world, it happens in the real world.
I'm getting somewhere. In the real world, that sounds great. But realistically, ordinary a church wants to do, let us give let's have a saving place for kids to come and the families to come and have their breakfast or whatever. And you see the thousands that come in. Sometimes we don't have the capacity to handle this, what we're asking for. It's been nice to have a place where we can go there to help. Even TVC, I'm almost done. Even TVC, we had a show where we were helping people. That, you know what, if you're sick, come to us. We'll cover you. We'll go to the hospital and we'll get you help. We did that for like a year or so. And people were bringing stretchers to the gate. We were bringing sick people saying, listen, I also deserve airtime. The truth is that how many of these things can you do? Yes, it's crucial when you have a system where there's insurance. So it has to be, you've narrowed down to who really desperately needs it. But Nigerians, there's no narrowing down.
No.
A huge portion of us need that help.
Majority.
500 and something million
millions
was paid into a
from
single
there.
account to help
Let's not go and deal
businesses.
with corruption.
No,
That's a
no,
different
that
matter.
money.
Which
Nah.
matter?
The humanitarian better edu. The one that
The money was never
investigated-
transferred.
No, the one that they are already investigating.
They are
now.
investigating.
The one that
Even
Shaba
before
approved.
then, even before her.
What I'm saying is, and the other one, the former minister,
Yes.
her own was to queue up
Billions.
with 4,000, these thousands that you mentioned, and be giving them cash, unaudited monies. Imagine that in every single state, a center was built where once you bring your case and it is medical, the doctors are paid, the center is funded, money, you can spend the rest. If you cannot, if your family abandons you, you will not die like a mosquito on the street. That can be vetted, it can be audited, it can be followed, but cash gifts, we have the money, Morayo. It's
That's
the missed priority that is the issue.
So
like where will be millions?
Going back to where I started from, may we not find ourselves in a situation where the loyalty of those around us is tested, or the compassion level of those around us is tested. This happened in New York. A friend of mine that is in New York had to be the one to take care of her neighbor, a Nigerian woman who was abandoned by every family member. She was terminally ill, was cancer. They knew. The hospital had returned her back home. And her children had tried to stay when she was in the hospital, but they had to go back to work. So who was going to take care of her? Like, they left her in the house. And that happens. Even abroad, they would leave them alone. The person would die inside the house. Nobody. That's the reality of the world we are now living in. So we need to start going back to, I'm my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. I will not see someone on the street and we will just leave the person there. Right now, the truth is, even me, I will drive past. Because we are in a world where you are judged for being kind. If you go and help that woman now and the woman mistakenly dies, nobody will come and testify that she had been lying there for the past 48 hours before you carried her. It will be a case of you defending how the woman died inside your vehicle. And because the system is like that, people that want to be kind cannot afford to be. So we need to rewrite it from the beginning. Let's be our brother's keeper. Let the police not judge you for helping out someone and person dies in your car. Let the hospital not abandon a sick person in your car because you cannot pay the hospital bill. Let us as a people show love to the person that is left to take care of that. Okay, imagine you go to the hospital and you're taking care of a woman, of your wife, and nobody is bringing you food. Nobody is taking care of your children that the woman has left at home. You don't have any support system. You would later just run away from that place now.
Let me go on a short break. When we come back, we continue with this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this issue of the woman who was dumped by the hospital at her husband's last address. And I know there's somebody said something about systems, and I was talking about the real world. Mm-hmm. And I said that the point I was trying to make is that, you know, I've always somewhat criticized the middle class, because I just feel like if the middle class do things right, pay your taxes, do what you're supposed to do, governments will have enough money to create this system, to solidify systems such as having soup kitchens, having relief help for state relief organizations that can support these kind of people, because there are lots of people who are working and not paying taxes. There are lots of people who actually can pay insurance. They're defaulting on their loans. There's so many things happening that we that should know better are not doing, where government is now trying to do what they can to get as much resources that they can, but they're not having enough. They're not even built a proper hospital, let alone to help somebody to pay their bills. So there's various layers of support government can do. But I always feel like there's government side, there's the people side, which is just as crucial as the part where government should also play, the part the government should be playing in this. So I just want to see it on that,
I wish that was our problem, but it's not. I mean, it is a problem, but it's not the main issue. The main issue is misappropriation of funds by government. That's the truth. If it was, government has done so much and set up these institutions, and Nigerians, so we are in a fix because Nigerians are not paying tax. Unfortunately, that is not yet our story. We're still running after administration, corrupt politicians that have taken money and have used it for different things, except what it is that they are meant to use it for. We have huge budget. We budget these funds. Few years down the line, we'll be asking where these monies went. We'll be looking for the buildings that they said that they built and it's not there. We'll be looking for the people that they say they trained and people will tell you they have not trained them. So there is a huge problem on government side. You're right. We need to pay taxes, but government needs to get its act together. And when it does that, it will be easier to now get people to pay the taxes. Apart from people just refusing to pay the tax, maybe because it's just been a culture in Nigeria, there's also the fact that Nigerians know that when you pay your taxes, it will be filtered away, filtered away by some politician. Yes, you're right, but that's not our problem. We should knock on government.
Middle class example.
Let me take Roy. Good morning. Thanks for calling, Roy.
Hello, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so you've talked of taxes, you've mentioned government. These are things that Dubai do for their citizens for free. So it's not a matter of paying taxes, paying government. The only issue on ground is that there is no single Nigeria that values human lives. I don't want to say it's an African issue. We don't value lives. When you see somebody that wants to commit suicide on the bridge, you see people carrying their phone, waiting for the person to jump, instead of trying to save that person. So once we can value life, there's going to be a big difference in the medical area. You come into the hospital, life is the first thing that they're trying to solve. Not.
Thank you very much, Roy. Yes, Nima.
So I wanted to try and support your idea of the middle class. So this middle class, of course, are also the ones who are the direct beneficiaries of most of these flamboyant projects we see. The cost of governance, the Senate, the House of Assembly, we review them every day. They are priority. They are jeeps and cars. It's priority. It is budgeted for by the office. It is not priority to have food kitchens in every state, hospital homes in every state for people who are homeless. They will say the numbers are huge, but the figures that we use to buy the cars is not huge. It is priority because they have to travel between their constituencies. It's very important, and they will justify it in every national TV they go and interviews they go. But they don't justify the importance of food kitchen per constituency, so that somebody like this Rebecca lady will not be sleeping outside till a newspaper goes to confirm her story. That the moment she is dumped, that office or area, people will say, okay, go to this place. Those things existed in those days. They existed, that people would usually refer.
I like the word you use, prioritize, because I think that's really the crux of the matter. What do you think is first things first? Let me take this call from Evelyn. I'll come to you, talk about. Good morning, Evelyn. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please.
In regards to this issue, like now, I have a boss that's having a sickle cell. For the past 2 years, I've been partly with him. I take him to Lut for medication. And it was the wrong medication that was given to me in Lagos State, in a government house. Government house in Alausa. Now, 2 years now, I'm battling with this boy. He's my fourth child, and I'm battling with him. Medically, I will take this boy to Lut. I will carry him, 7-year-old boy, all through, without attention. I said they will attend to me in the evening, and I'll be carrying him. And even me, I'm dying. I'm dying. There's no help. What can I do? Will I abandon my child? But I'm just struggling with him. I'm even thinking of taking him to where they gave me random and I abandon him there. But if I can't do it, it's my own blood. So it's rampant. If that medical issue in this Nigeria is killing. Even me, I'm dying. I'm not praying.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. Thank you very much. Do you know there's some wealthy people that try to support people like Evelyn and others, and still that money is siphoned by Nigerians. With the people, you can still say, I'm going to take 1 billion naira, I'm going to use it to support. And Nigerians know they have free, it's supposed to give you free medication. But guess what? They take it, they steal it, and then sell to you with the people.
So, NGOs have been known to siphon donations made to them as well.
So it's the easiest place to point finger to is change this conversation into a government conversation.
That's the lowest hanging fruit.
It's easy. Oh, the government isn't doing enough. Given the government isn't doing enough, put that one on one side. But at the end of the day, the government is made up of people like you and I, and people like you. Surprisingly, I've realized in the past 6 months that a lot of people that are my friends, we went to school together, are now occupying political positions. They are becoming GMs, they are becoming advisors. People like me, We went to school like me. They were not born in a rich place, and they are decision makers. Their action and inaction is affecting people's lives. So when we are actually invariably pointing fingers to ourselves. So let us leave the pointing of finger and talk about what we can do, how we are offering support, how we are turning the other cheek, how we see people going through. Because until you go through the process, you might not understand. I can always listen to Ibadan says, oh, this is how it feels like. I can understand. She has been through it. Not once, twice. You know something is wrong, and you are nursing and nursing and nursing. It is a lot of burden, and we need to talk about how to support people in that situation when they find themselves there, even if it is not financial. Because the family, one person, they said, what that means is, if I am holding on to hope for so long, my spirit will get weary. So when we now point fingers and say the husband is a horrible person, the family are horrible. Spent all their money. They spent all their money. I know stories of people close to me who have, this person has indebted herself through different payment apps just because her mother is ill. She has her salary for the next 6 months gone. All the mobile apps that she can borrow money from, she has borrowed money just because her mom is ill. And what will she do? She's the only one that can take care of that, of the bill. So right now, there is no other money to take care of the bill. It's a case of, man, is it that I kill myself? And some have done it. They've attempted to kill themselves because they have extended everything because they don't know what else to do. So we need to address how to provide emotional support, financial support for people who are in this critical situation.
You went like this.
Yeah.
It's us,
So I
not
thank
government.
you for coming back to a real Nigerian story of a family who did not leave their sick one for hopelessness. Even the worst you can do is to put that person in a sheltered place. If the person is going to die from that illness, he will not die in the middle of the road like a rat. You will not leave your family. So where is that husband? Where is her family members? Let her be the worst family member of your family. She should be in a house. If the whole family is living in one room, she should be there. She should not be dumped on the road and left there till this story. That one worries me, and I can't come to conclusion.
Let me take this.
But you have come back to say we must provide the support. Government.
No government.
Yes.
How do we provide
let
it?
me take this call. Come to you.
Who has the
Chris, thanks for calling. You're live.
Okay. Yeah, you said about people should be paying taxes, okay? And I really want to know, what tax are we not paying in Nigeria? Because I think Nigeria, we are even paying more than enough. Because even this call now, before you know it, how much will be deducted from me, that I don't even know how it's been done. Go to bank, just withdraw 100 naira, they will charge you another 100 naira when you make transfer. I just don't know where are the citizens not paying enough tax. What tax is that? Is it educational? Is it health? What?
I can't hear him very well.
Taxes everywhere. Which tax are we saying that we're not paying? When you make phone calls, you pay tax on it. If you transfer, you pay tax on it. Nigerians are paying taxes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say that, concerning this conversation on health, government is not the lowest hanging fruit. I disagree emphatically. It is government inefficiency, it's government corruption. That is why we're here. You can provide a shelter where people can go and drop their family members or anyone that they see on the street to stay, even if it's a bed that they stay until they live the rest of their lives. We don't have places like that. That is why the hospital will drop you in front of a shop that nobody has occupied for over a year. And that is why family members or people passers-by don't even know where to go. That is why you find yourself in a situation where you take a child to the hospital and take her back there. If there was somewhere where government has provided, you would have driven her there and done your part. Why don't we have these things up till now? This is not about...
But we have
this
now.
Is, no.
The IDP centers, what do? Who collected the rice? When people put rice there and individuals, that one is not government. Government has provided rice.
Have you been to IDP camps?
Let's even leave the one of
Have you
the
ever
ministers.
been to an IDP camp?
I haven't.
Have you ever heard the situation that they are in when they talk about it? Have you seen when there's a humanitarian crisis and where they end up and how they end up? Do you know how many individuals, Nigerian individuals, that put their resources together and help in little ways?
And what
is that
happens to
we're now talking of, we're discussing a huge corruption that's happened in the humanitarian ministry.
Oh, yeah,
Monies
that-
are
that's
no,
what
no,
the
no, no,
topic
don't
for
say, no, no,
today.
that's the topic for today. That's where monies were supposed to go to.
No, I think we're
That
saying
is
the same thing in different ways.
See,
Right?
I'm just saying that when we say somebody has siphoned money, this is what it means to everyday life. It means that you cannot have an institution where you can take a sick person to.
I think there are different
when
parts
it comes to health,
of the
when it
same
comes to
issue.
education, it has to do with government and corruption.
Ma'am, nobody is saying we said the
discounting
reason
that.
why government that says local don't hungry because anybody in a second can say it's government. No, that has never been debated. We already know there's corruption. Where I want you to highlight is also the part of where the Nigerians themselves play that role. Where she was trying to say that okay, we bring IDP camps just as you're right. Maybe the IDP camps are not properly established enough to have all the infrastructure they should. You're absolutely correct. But when people, these citizens come together, we the people also siphon some of these goods and resell. So there are different parts of a problem that we all know. Let me take
You
this
know
call.
how I started it? I said government is not lowest hanging fruit in this conversation. That's what I said.
Let me take this call, I believe. Thanks for calling. You're live. Ahmed, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. I'm a first-time caller to this program.
Welcome to the show.
Okay. Please, I want to ask a question, a very vital question in this program. Please, the question is this. Where did the corruption started from? The corruption itself, in quotes, where did it start from? The corruption started from the family. If we look at it very well. The reason why I say corruption started from the family is this. We need to inculcate a good character from our old generation. Why? Because we need to teach our children that there is what Yoruba called ojukokoro, conspicuous. That is where the corruption started from. When you are conspicuous in the society, there is nothing your mate will have. You, as a human being, you will be satisfied with. So it.
Ahmed, I was trying to get the point.
No, his point is, corruption starts from the home. We raise children who are pretty covetous. They have when they see their mates have something, they lack contentment. They want everything else. But at the end of the day, we live as we came with nothing. So I totally understand. But I want to go back to what Miriam is saying. You see, when you say government has the commonwealth and control of it. Government has a very large reservoir of resources where government can decide A is what we do first, B is what we do second. So we have a large population of people, and as we are now, we don't have a national health insurance scheme that is functional. So we created a humanitarian ministry. It wasn't an existing ministry until 2 administrations or 3 ago. Yeah. So when we created that ministry, it became a conduit for money to get missing because it became an avenue of give cash, give cash, give cash. And we've always heard experts say that giving cash has never solved the problem. So we want to copy the models abroad. Let's copy them. Let's create homes. I know the Ministry of Women Affairs has home for women who are suffering from various issues where they can stay. I don't know how that. I only know the Lagos State example. I don't know how the national one works, and I don't know how the Oyo State one works, where Rebecca is. But we expect that home will be given priority. Everybody will know numbers, just the way we know Yaba left. We will know number something, anywhere it is. And they will say, okay, this person, an hospital will say, because of your finances, we can't continue to care for you. They can write that ministry, they can carry that body, that person to one of those homes and say, we can no longer continue. But they cannot dump any Nigerian in the middle of the road to rot because the family has abandoned the person. Then we come back to family. Why will your sick person be in a hospital and be left? I don't want to sit on this table and start to talk about things we see. I know someone very close to my family who was there in the past, and I didn't know she had breast cancer. I just kept asking of her till I found out she had breast cancer. And we found the hospital all the way to Ogun State where she was. That's how families behave. You don't leave your loved ones or relatives.
You said something that the hospital shouldn't also have dropped on the street.
They shouldn't have to.
That's structure. That's what I said. Now, the hospital actually tried. Yes, they kept the woman for 1 year. But even when you are at the last resort, it shouldn't be to drop on the street, structures, governmental structures to ensure there'll be a place they can drop off if the hospital feels that I can no longer handle this particular situation. We don't have that place yet. So that's one of the things government can do to put a structure in place where when push comes to where everything is down, this person has no family member. They survived this only survivor of a fatal family accident. Who would they go? Where would they go to?
Thank you.
They will go to this particular place that the hospital can take them there, or individuals
I know
can
that
take them
I
there.
have
We need
visited
that kind of place.
places within Lagos State where I think it was the children's, I can't remember what it was, with the church. And they said these are people that were dumped. And they're taking care of them.
Was it owned by the government?
It's owned by government. It's owned by, it's a correctional service, right? So they have kids where their family just dumped them. Maybe your child,
Boys remand.
something, boys, yeah.
Remand.
Where the
Okay,
kids,
that's
your child, you have a delinquent child, and the parents just dump. They know I'm
No, the
this is
boys
a troubled
remand is
child.
not for that.
So I'm just telling you that there is a systems in place, but it's still
We can
it's
do
somewhat,
better.
it's somewhat fragmented in where that it's not well, it's not comprehensive enough to carry all the various factors, because there are children who have been dumped by their parents, where the government are taking responsibility today. So it's not like it's totally all bad. However, I do agree, as I wrap up, I do agree that government has a huge role to play. And the reason why I use the word low-hanging fruit is the first port of call. Definitely, they are the first we're going to come to, because we will hold them responsible. That's the first person you go to. That's why I say it's the lowest hanging fruit. But if we dig further, and go higher, we have to realize that there are other layers that we also can support. But the government, because we all discuss government, we all criticize government and call them out every single day. That's why I use the word low-hanging fruit. Saying I can arrest them immediately because I know automatically government is the fault here, where proper systems must be put in place.
Why will your loved ones? Somebody had somebody's wife had 2 children, a bit quadruplets, and the first thing the person do was bail. It not be you give her belly. You face it. You start from somewhere.
All right, let's go on a break now. When we come back, move on to another topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.